loud.
I am calling this meeting to, did you get the part that I said before, Veronica? Or should I just start over?
Please start over.
Okay. This is Mariposa Padilla Sivage. I'm the president of the Alice King Community School Governing Board. It is 5:44 p.m. on April 21st. We have been trying for the past 20 minutes to connect our live stream to the Zoom as we needed a hybrid meeting this evening, and it is not working. We have made every effort to substantially comply with the live stream, and the recording of this meeting will be posted to our YouTube channel immediately after the meeting. As such, I will call the meeting to order at 5:45 p.m. and I can confirm that there is a quorum. With regard to the agenda, Veronica, if you could show it, I have mine up on my screen.
Would you mind sharing your screen while I pull that up, please?
Who's not
I
in
do
the
not mind sharing my screen.
Rhonda? Just Rhonda.
Okay.
Thank
Can
you.
everyone see the agenda?
No,
Hold on, Dave. Just give a second.
I was just answering your question.
We will have it up here in a second.
Oh, that was you. I have the same sound on my phone.
Are we okay in the room, Veronica, or are we still waiting?
Recording in progress.
We are now able to see your screen.
Okay, wonderful. So I have the agenda up. I believe I have 2 removals from the agenda this evening. Number 6, head administrator's report. Ms. Christie will provide a double report next month, but given budget season and the deadlines and the documents that we have been working on, that she has been excused from her head administrator's report this month. So we can take that off the agenda, and we also don't need a closed executive session this evening, so we can take those off of the agenda. So with those 2 deletions, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Hey, Mariposa, before we move forward, there was a second reading
Of private use of vehicles for field trips. I thought we did that second reading last time.
Yeah, we did.
So I
We
think-
did. That's a typo. So thank you, Dominic. We also can delete that. C little 2. So with those 3 amendments to the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Let me stop sharing. Do you need me to pull the minutes up, Veronica? Would it be easier?
Yes, please.
Because I can get to them pretty quickly. Give me just 1 second.
Thank you.
Don't show the video, Aaron's making me hungry.
Sorry.
Okay, let's try this one again. All right. Can you all see the March 12th draft minutes?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Let me see if I can scroll. Can I scroll? Yes, I can scroll. Okay, and everyone received these prior to the meeting. I was absent, so yes, I was absent from that meeting, wasn't I? No, that's the regular meeting. I was here. Sorry.
And I got Anna's fix for her name. Yeah.
Okay, very
Do I
good.
have your last name spelled right there? It just went away.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta adjust it. I'm not sure.
Is it 1L or 2Ls?
1L.
Okay, I got it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll down. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Oh, I find a Patricia right here. Under C1, Pat's last name. Any other corrections, additions, changes to the minutes from the March 12th meeting? Okay, seeing none, I would accept a motion to approve the March 12th meeting minutes as amended in the meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
thank you, Dave. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. I had no public comments in the email. Is there any public who would like to comment this evening? Okay, very good. Does anyone have any comments from council members before I go? All right. Pat, this is mostly to memorialize thoughts I had earlier this week for you and I for next month's meeting. But we need to be, and I'll get with Rhonda so that we can get the committee working on it. But I realize that we need to do the governing council self-evaluation process before the end of June. And we also need to start Miss Christie's year-end evaluation process. So I will get with the committee on both of those items and we'll get those in process, but we should be working on those next month and probably finalizing certification in June. So I just wanted to say that out loud as I was thinking about things and making notes. And apart from that, I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have anything? If not, we'll move on. Okay. So we don't have a head administrator report. Do we have a foundation or an equity council report this evening?
I can give an equity council report.
Okay,
And
go.
foundation.
Met last week, but.
We did, okay, yes, I can also give a foundation report. Okay, I'll start with the foundation report since that's next on the agenda.
Thank you.
We did meet as a foundation last week. Yes, and it feels like a long time ago, but we did meet last week. We talked about some possible projects going on in the school. We talked about where we're at with capital outlay and the capital outlay projects. And as you may have seen, we just got the new parking lot redone, so that was part of capital outlay. Next projects to capital outlay will be replacing the 2 fields and putting in the acoustical panels in the classrooms. And so I've already started getting quotes for the fields and working with a contractor to get a quote to install the acoustical panels. So those are all upcoming projects, and I think that was about it that we talked in foundation.
Okay.
Oh,
Any?
also, I'm sorry, we actually also talked about some information that came out of spring budget workshop and just really being mindful and keeping an eye on our carryover amount right now.
And I was just about to ask that question. Is there anything that we need to look at committing future funds to, or committing this year's funds for future?
Yes, and that's one of the things that we definitely need to be thinking about in terms of planning it out and making sure that we have a plan and are active with our plan for our carryover balance.
Very good. Do we need to, is that part of the budget discussion, or do we need to add that for next month's discussion?
We can add it to next month's discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll need to add that as an agenda item for next month. All right, and then an equity council update. We actually meet with the equity council again tomorrow. But at our last equity council meeting, we reviewed the CLR framework implementation progress that administration completed, which is a guide that just reviews where we are as a school, where we believe we are as a school in terms of the implementation of each of the components of the CLR framework. We recently, so we went over the results of that, and then since that time, we also talked about a plan for reviewing and really discussing the CLR framework with the staff, which we've said we've done, but we'll review all of that with Equity Council tomorrow. So just a lot of conversation right now about where we are with the CLR framework.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Miss Christie on either Foundation or Equity Council reports? All right, seeing none, we can move on to Finance, Facilities, and Human Resources. Miss Veronica and Miss Laura.
So I'll start. So tonight the Finance Committee met and to review the March 2025 financials. We reviewed the bank statements, the bank register, large dollar transactions, which are payments over 5,000. There were two. Both were typical services that we would see each month, nothing unusual. We just looked through the packet, which usually has the invoice, the approvals, the POs, all the things that will go along with that. There was one journal entry that we reviewed, and there will be 3 bars tonight. When we talk about the bars, something to note is there's a series of bars that were voided. So the last one we reviewed as a council ended in 19. The series 20 through 27 were voided. Tonight we are going to start with bar ending in 28-5.
Miss Laura, would you mind explaining to us why we have a group of voided?
Sure.
Do you want to do that when you do the bars?
I can do that when we do the bars. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Veronica, I do have the zip file open if it's easier for me to share. Just tell me.
I can share my screen now.
Okay.
Okay. Are you all seeing my shared screen?
Yes.
Okay. Veronica, can you highlight cell D23? D23. Right here.
Yeah, I would say, I feel like this is something I haven't really pointed out in the past, but I'd like to start just mentioning it. Because you all know that whenever we have budget, it's not like we get the money up front. It's more like we have budget to spend, we spend it, and then I bill for it, and then they send us the money. So for example, on that highlighted cell, she has there 24153. Does anyone remember what fund that is? It's
Off the
okay.
top of our heads?
Title III, and we did get money in from Title III. I billed for it and we got it in. So just something when you're looking at that, if you see like a series of 5 numbers, it's probably a fund I billed for, especially if it's a 2 and a 4. That's a federal fund we're getting money in for. So that's good. You do want to see your business manager billing and the money coming in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But other than that, we don't have any new vendors. Does anyone have any questions about anything on there?
Yeah, Laura, can you tell me what line 30 is? Void
Was it?
payroll liability check.
Oh, it was probably payroll, and I think the date was wrong, so I voided it to reissue it on the correct date in the system.
Okay,
Yeah. Do you see the US Bank one above it, Mariposa?
yep,
Yeah, that's the finalized payroll amount that went through.
okay. The one that says void or the one that says non-void? The one that says non-void's what went
Non-void.
through.
Yeah, the void is the one that offsets.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
It was an amount that was off or something.
yeah, it does look like a small amount on that one.
Yeah, it was the error was little.
Yeah,
We earned interest on our $5 million in the bank.
yeah, a little bit. Not tons, but a little bit.
Every little bit helps.
It does. I think that's on line D83.
And our SEG deposit that was up there,
Mm-hmm. On line D47.
hmm,
Mm-hmm.
is that what we were expecting?
That's not with the changed amount, so that's the amount we've been getting up to this point. Tonight I have
Okay.
a bar for the change.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Other questions?
All right, budget expense summary. Again, I really don't have much to say on this one either. I did bill for Title II last week, so we should be seeing that money coming in hopefully, probably in May. I would not bank on seeing it in April come through, but Title III is done for. I billed it. I'm sorry, that little 2% that's left over, it's hard to get that fund to zero. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Oh, we got awarded PPLN. We did. We got about $203,000. So it
Oh,
was a
wow.
big year. Really big amount. You won't see the bar for that probably until June because APS couldn't get it on their board meeting until May. So in June, we'll see the bar, we'll approve it, and I'll bill for it.
And is that award, does it have any limitations that it has to be spent in FY25 or can we carry it forward to FY26?
No, that one we have to spend by the end of this year because we billed for specific teachers, EAs, and students.
And I'm sure you can spend it?
Oh, yeah, I got a plan.
Okay.
Is it worth noting that about who got awarded and who didn't?
We were the only APS school that got money. There were a few other competitors this year, but.
Which is great, says something to
Good
all the hard
job.
work that goes into the application.
Yes, thank you all very much. That's exciting.
It is.
Any other questions?
All right. If there's no further questions for Veronica or Laura on the budget report ending March 2025, can I have a motion to approve same?
I will make a motion.
That was Veronica.
Yes.
I'll have a second. I'll second. Thanks, Dave. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, then we are on bars.
Okay, we've got bars 28-I up. Can everybody see that?
Now, do you want to say why you skipped those ones?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I have to put in, when we get our final audit financial statements, I have to put it in on this online system. And it tries to generate a bunch of bars to make sure the budget matches. I mean, I had like 7 of them that were zeros. So it auto generates no matter what for whatever fund you put it in for. So I avoid them because I don't need them.
Okay.
I think that started last year, where we put the audited financial statements in the system and it generates all these bars. Yeah,
I do recall having that discussion last year, Laura, that we had a group last year we had to void too.
yeah, we had a bunch. All right. Bar 0028-I, we love seeing increases. So keep in mind that this 23,000 fund, this is our activity funds. In March, April time, I have to estimate about how much revenue I think we'll get, and I don't like to overestimate because I don't like to overspend. So typically around this time of year, I have an increased bar to true up what we've actually received to what our new budgeted amount is, because we have an increase, and it's an increase of $6,313.25.
That's us internally doing it, or is somebody
Yes.
giving us money?
No, that's internally.
So where does it explain to them when you send this in that that's what you did?
Oh, that's a great question. Scroll down a little, Veronica. On
'Cause
the
I
bottom
couldn't-
left there, justification,
I know, I couldn't figure that out, what that's telling me.
the actual revenues received is where I put the note under justification. And then I actually attach a financial report from the system that shows that we actually have exceeded our budget by that much, and I'm trying to true up the budget to it.
You've exceeded your budget and your projections, or you've exceeded it in actual spend?
It's not actual spend, it's actual received. So like if I budgeted a certain amount, we have more available than what I budgeted for. So I'm trying to move up the
Yes,
budget.
so
So we have
So
more
she-
to spend.
she
Okay.
budgeted the 30,000, which was her conservative estimate. And then when we got our funds in for the allocation, it was more than she budgeted. So we're increasing budget.
Got it.
Which I understand, but I don't see where it tells them that. On what we just,
Oh, it's just the actual revenues received. It's just the note I give them under justification. Can you highlight it for them, Veronica? Above, no, above more.
Right.
See justification.
Just under the table.
Yeah, so I just make a note for
Well,
them what
revenue
it is,
uh,
and then they compare the financial statements to see, is that actually what
Gotcha.
we received?
all right. I started reading under A and B and
Oh,
missed
no.
the first part.
And you're like, Laura, it's not there.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, any other questions on bar ending in 0028I? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve bar ending in 0028-I.
I will second. Ms. Veronica?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Veronica, it looks like we might have lost Fabian, so just keep an eye out for him
Okay,
to come back, because I'm not seeing him.
got it. I see him. Thank you.
Okay. All right, do we have another bar?
We do. We have bar 0029-I.
Okay, and give Veronica a second to get that one for us.
You cannot see that on my screen?
Oh,
I
there you
see
go. And you go to the
28
next tab.
still.
So, okay, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. So this one is our Medicaid account. And again, I have to do like a rough estimate back in March, April on how much we might receive. Medicaid is really hard to predict. We've seen situations where we got funds last year from 2020. So they've been a little bit behind in terms of giving schools some money that they've gotten. And also there's not really like a formula I can follow to even estimate when I do my quarterly submissions how much I'm going to get. So it's just a fund I have to keep an eye on. And this is similar to the last one where we have exceeded what I budgeted, like we received more than what I budgeted. So I'm trying to bring the budget up to show that we do have more that we can spend if we need to.
Do we need to spend it by the end of the year?
No, thank goodness.
So this is another one that it's actual funds received.
It's higher than the budget.
All righty. Any other questions on this bar for Miss Laura? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve bar ending in 0029-1. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we got a decrease one. 0030-D. D.
This is the dreaded decrease bar we've been talking about for months. I know, it's finally here. It actually isn't as bad. We were estimating about 220 when we had talked to the financial head of PED when we asked her to help us reevaluate with our new enrollment. And so it's not as big of a hit as we had planned, even from when we felt like it wasn't as bad originally. So that's pretty nice. But we do have to decrease in some areas. And the areas I chose to decrease in is where we're just not having a lot of spending and it has a lot of budget to begin with anyways. I didn't want to take it out of areas where we might start spending a bit more in. So I have a decrease of $129,237, and I actually took it out of other contracted services and fixed assets from the operation and maintenance of plant function for this one. And you can kind of see the present budget for those and the adjusted budget. They're still pretty darn high, just in case we do need to purchase anything. So this felt like the safest area to decrease in.
And this is the final set of numbers from them?
Yes, thank goodness.
At least it got here before the end of the year.
Right? I think of the sheet
Yes.
ahead.
So that was based on our enrollment numbers at the last count when they true up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What was our final enrollment numbers? 375 or something?
Yeah. Sorry, I have numbers in my head from today's when we were working on stuff. Are you like, where are we at, like right now? Or,
What they used for this?
oh, for that would have been our 40-day number, and I think it was 3, let me look it up real quick. Okay, thank you, because I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I have 384.
384? Okay,
Is that
thanks.
right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it was 384.
All righty. Any other questions on this bar? All right, seeing none, I will make a motion to approve bar ending in 0030-D.
I'll second this, Veronica.
Thank you, Veronica. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
As a
Aye.
matter of principle, I won't second or make those motions because I don't like to decrease.
I would like to be able to have that principle, Aaron, but unfortunately somebody has to do the work.
That's why you're the boss.
Can I not be the boss? Anyhow, all right. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I think that we don't have any supply fixed assets this month. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, then we can move on to Miss Pat. Nominating and professional development, if you have anything, Pat.
I don't have anything for that.
Okay,
We took off the second reading for the policy manual. That was a repeat, but we do have a first reading on another section of the policy manual that Christy sent everyone out. The wording of it.
I sent it to the policy committee. It didn't go to
Oh,
the
okay.
entire board.
Yeah.
On the 18th, when she was, let me just read this for you. She says, hi, I'm returning for our special education site visit and see that we need to update our policy for special education services. Roman numeral 8B. I've attached a document that contains the current policy written in black with my proposed edition written in blue. Please review it and let me know if you have any questions, concerns, or changes. So there it is. Whoops, it was on the screen.
Sorry, I was just sharing for those that are online. There we go.
It's actually
Yep.
it's a little difficult in this light to see the difference in the color, but it's the last sentence that's
Yeah.
being added. And, Chrissy, I did have a question and I didn't get a chance. Why, I don't quite understand why that's needed, and it sounds like it's,
It sounds like common sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, but that's just what we do, and it is. I mean, we do provide a free appropriate public education. But because the AKCS is requiring that it be part of, like, written into our policy, and we have it in other areas.
right,
But it's not specific in our policy, and so we just want to make sure we have our bases covered. Carrie is our special ed coordinator. I don't know if you want to say anything more about this one.
And just even on the website, we are following it, it's understood, but it doesn't specifically say fee.
In our policy. We have it written on our website, we have, and so we're in compliance, but we just need to make sure it's actually in our policy.
so I'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why I think I understand why they want it in there, even though we have it everywhere else. And we'll see what that sentence means as we move forward into the future.
Yeah.
So if that was recommended from our authorizer, at this point, I don't know that we have any ability to not do it. So does anyone have any language problems with the last sentence?
So this would be to you and like Aaron, does that obligate us to anything outside of a lottery system?
No, FAPE is federal law. It's the federal law that says that IDEA, the Disabilities in Education Act, applies equally to everybody, and that we provide a free and appropriate public education for all students with disabilities, which is the federal law that we have to comply with. So it's kind of a redundant item to place into a policy, but if the authorizer is requesting it, then we need to do it. Did that make sense, Dominic?
Yeah, that made sense. I was just, reading that, an interpretation could be that you have to allow anyone with a special disability in outside of a lottery. Like you have to provide that education for anyone that wants it. And so I didn't know if that conflicts with that, but it sounds like
Oh,
it
I see
doesn't.
what you're saying. No, this applies to students who are enrolled at the school, and then, so it's not obligating to students. It's not obligating our school to students who are enrolled at other schools.
Okay.
And it's once you're enrolled, and the charter, the state law on charter schools governs how we have to do lottery. You have to look at both of them together, enrollment and admission as two separate things, but together.
Okay.
Right, and then the statement in the protocol for our special education site visit says the school has an approved policy that states the provision of a free appropriate public education for all students with disabilities.
Okay. Yep, I'm good.
Are we allowed to? Never mind. I won't go there.
Was a legal joke, I think.
Well, I was gonna add lawyer stuff to it, but I'm not gonna go there because I don't think it's gonna be helpful. So gonna turn the lawyer brain off and be the board president brain. So any other questions, or should we make a motion to approve this as a first reading?
So moved.
I will second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Fabian, if you are in a place that you can be up, we can take you, or we can skip and go to the next one and come back.
I am ready to talk. Now we'll see if cell phone signal agrees with me or not, but so far so good. Sounds like you heard me. So what we have for this evening is to bring forward our strategic plan for approval. Everyone's had a chance to review this on the council, as well as the administrative team. I'd like to note that the changes made were to get both the goals and the strategies more up to date. We made some minor wording changes to make sure things were more updated, as well as the target dates. The more substantial change was probably just really in section 3 or goal 3, where we took one of the strategies and combined it with the other. But it's keeping everything that was there effectively. Just it made more sense to have a few of them in one than in two. But that was really it. And I'll let you finish scrolling. I haven't heard any other feedback since we did this. I know, Mariposa, you've had a chance to look at this as well since I've made these changes. And so would like to bring this forward for approval.
All right. Thank you, Fabian, for your presentation. First, let me thank the Strategic Planning Committee and the board who worked, the council who worked on making all of these revisions and changes. And again, my apologies for having a family situation that made me unable to attend the meeting that day. But as Fabian said, I have reviewed it. I don't have any comments or concerns on what the council and the administration worked on to get us to this version, and just want to extend my thanks to everyone for the hard work on this. And I will make a motion to approve the strategic plan as presented to the board this evening in red line. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All righty. Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We have a new strategic plan. So Fabian, if you'll accept all the changes and get it pretty and to Miss Christie, it will go where it needs to go.
Will do. I'll get that done over the next day or so. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All righty, well, that was easy peasy. We are just rocking along here, ladies and gentlemen. That's good. Mr. Dave Anderson, do you have a academic committee report at all for us this evening?
Sure. Dominic presented what the results of our last meeting last month, and we haven't met since, so we are up to date.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both very much for your work on that. Miss Christie, charter renewal discussion. I feel like we are, as soon as budget's over, going to be going full force into that consideration. Is my feeling correct?
That is correct. Yes, we had a meeting scheduled, but we're unable to meet, so we are working on getting a new meeting scheduled.
Okay, wonderful. Any other discussion or comments on charter renewal at this point from council members? Okay, we will move to new business then. Miss Christie, Miss Laura, take it away.
All right. The budget, did you send the most updated one? Who has it to display? Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, budget was based on our 80-120 day average from this current school year, which put us at 367 students. So this budget is built on 367 students. I am anticipating.
Not 376.
It's 376.
376, sorry, I'm so tired. I was at the ER last night with my kid until super late, so I apologize. So yes, 376, thank you. I am anticipating a higher enrollment than that, but we we didn't want to reach out to PED to have everything adjusted until we have registration. Because even though people commit, they're not truly committed till they go through the full registration. So we're holding off on that. But I do anticipate our enrollment to be closer to 400 based on what we're seeing right now.
Which is about a difference of $212,000 is what we were looking at. Like, what would that increase look like for us? We didn't incorporate that here, but we're keeping our eye on that as we were developing this.
So the number of teachers and EAs built into the salary schedule is reflective of 376 students. Okay. We do have 2.4 million carryover. So that's a healthy amount that we are really paying attention to. But in budgeting for this year, I don't know if you all recall, but with all of the budget things that happened last year in terms of calendar and trying to make sure that we didn't have to cut positions and all of that, what the decision was to pay for our contracted services out of carryover instead of budgeting for it. So that was a piece that we looked at very carefully this time around because we did not want to do that just in case. We didn't want to put ourselves in a really difficult position. So right now we have about 4 million in salaries. Laura, do you want to talk about IDEAB?
I do. I know there's a lot of things going around just in general about, well, what about federal funds? What's going to happen to those? But some federal funds have been pulled. That pulling didn't, well, it kind of did affect us with tutoring, but not with this, if that makes sense. That was something the state was funding, not something us as a school were funding. And so we haven't heard anything negative about IDEAB, and quite honestly, I would be surprised if anyone touches special education in that way, just because so many kids, benefit from that. I do not have this year's allocation for it, or this new year's allocation for it. This is the current year, what we have right now. So that might go up for next year. I just don't know what it is yet. The state hasn't released it. Last year we were at about 163,000 for that fund. So it's been increasing over the years. And so I try to just be conservative. And Mariposa, I know you asked me about worst case scenario. I feel like the worst case scenario is deleting that amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that amount is used towards special education salaries. That could be a special education teacher, EA, or even social worker salaries and benefits. And so
you have a negative 180, what does that mean?
well,
We're not
no,
gonna get it?
we have that award. I'm subtracting it out from the salaries.
And putting it somewhere else?
In that fund. Yeah. So that's why it's a negative amount. It's subtracting it out of the SEG cost because it shouldn't be contributing to it. It should be helping it.
So the difference, if you take it out as if we don't receive it,
Is that fund balance
Less
change?
money.
less money down here in the fund balance.
Yes.
But since we're anticipating it, we'll leave it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even heard rumblings about this
No.
one, so I'm not worried about it, if that makes sense. There are other things I feel like they've been more vocal about. This was not one of them.
I agree.
When
Agreed.
to revenue before we,
Yeah, sure.
that $22,000 per student? The government, did the state give us that, or is that an estimate that you guys have put together?
That's an average based on the SEG allocation with the 81 20-day average. I think what you're thinking of, Dave, is the unit value amount, and that's $6,800 per kiddo. This is just an average because there are more things that go into that calculation, like what level of special education are they, what grade level they are. It's a different multiplier. So this just on average is the per student cost here.
But did you get all that data from them?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we did.
Did it go up?
And beginning of
By 3%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any
That's
other questions on the revenue part of it? Sorry, I didn't mean to skip on. Okay, so I think, I mean, on this cover page, we have salaries, supplies, contracted services, utilities. Those are the big bucket items. If you go to the next tab, it gives a breakdown of the contracted services. What we are looking at doing is, instead of pulling some of these things from operational, we're looking at instead using SB9.
Yes. So like zero, which of course you're like, how could you have $0 for funding? We're looking at pulling it out of SB9. And our SB9 is a very healthy amount.
What was SB9?
I forget the title of it. Let me pull it up real quick.
But it's a federal
It's-
carryover or something?
It's a state match fund that is non-reverting.
Yes.
And it's used specifically for like upkeep or like maintenance and like building type things.
It's a special appropriation. We get it monthly and I have to input it manually monthly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we apply for it?
No, we just
No.
get it. It's collected from like tax distributions. Yeah.
So we did put back in all of our ancillary services, which were the things that we had pulled out of this last year to pay for through our carryover. So we do have that back into the budget this year. My concern is that if something happens to our carryover money through a state decision that's out of our control, then we would be in a real pickle to pay for those services. So we wanted to make sure that we were really accounting for that. So the things that we could shift somewhere else, like SB9, that's where we made the adjustment.
We were trying to plan ahead to not spend down all that carryover if it wasn't possibly going to be there.
And then Veronica, if you'll go over 2 tabs to elementary schedule, this is the salary schedule. So the state, the new state minimums, the requirements are 55,000 for level 1, 65,000 for level 2, and 75,000 for level 3. So you can see that we are proposing that we be above those state minimums. What we did, we went to look at the AKCS current salary schedule, which is pretty high. And just thinking about how above the minimums they already are, we are also already above the minimums currently. And then what we did is we added in a 4% increase to that because the governor did sign a bill for all school personnel to receive a 4% salary increase. So we added 4% to the AKCS salary schedule just to kind of give us a baseline to anticipate where AKCS may go with their salary schedule. And that's how we came up with our minimums, which we went back and forth. So I think we landed at 5960, I'm sorry.
71.
Thank you. I can't see it from here. Veronica, can you?
And 83.
Thank you. That's where we landed for our proposed minimums, 59.71 and 83. And then we did dollar increases for each year.
We felt like we were starting higher at the beginning, and so the dollar increases kind of offset that.
And that's on our current salary schedule for this year.
Yeah.
That's the case as well, dollar increases. Okay, so then that,
So someone with 5 years experience makes $5 more than someone with no years experience? Is that what that says? Okay.
I know, it's not ideal, but we also have to be really mindful that we can't price ourselves out where we can't afford things and afford people, right? So if the salary schedule gets to a point that we can't afford to hire but only newer teachers, then what does that do to compromising student education?
And this is not a change from previous schedules. The
No,
previous
it is
schedules
not a
had the
change.
$1 per year.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we had changed it to that last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was-
because we wanted to start higher. We felt like when we were starting lower and having bigger increases below, it was kind of turning people away
Yes.
right off the start versus if we're more enticing with a higher amount at the beginning, we felt like that could entice them to stay.
And last year we had to come back because APS delayed their change, and then in order to stay competitive, had to come back and change our stuff.
Right.
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 We're getting ahead of
And,
that this year.
right. And this is in anticipation of what APS may do. Who knows what ultimately they're going to decide, right? So we tried, I mean, we are at this point well above the minimums, and I feel like it's in line with what we're estimating could happen with across the state with other schools, and especially one of our biggest competitors, APS.
Was the 4% increase, was that to the minimum amount by law, or was that 4% to what you were
Every
paying?
current employee has to have a 4% minimum increase. So no matter what you do to the salary schedule, if you increase it, but their amount doesn't increase to that 4%, you have to bump it to that 4%. So some people actually not on the salary schedule because they weren't meeting that 4% increase. And it really happened with like level 3 teachers that are maxed out on years because it was only a slight increase. It didn't reach that high of an amount. Yeah.
So the 4% was mandated by the state?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Dave on the years of service in the schedule. It seems like it would de-incentivize continued service.
People stay.
Yeah, of course, you have good salaries compared to the state minimum, right? So that helps. Seems like if there's any way to do that in the future to try to pull those apart a little bit, that would be
nice.
Something to
It
work
just
towards.
adds up fast. Starting high and then separating it, it adds up fast.
Yeah.
Especially with an almost 30% range.
Yes.
But the idea for retention is to get them to move to the different levels, right?
True.
Right, like, yes, exactly, yes,
It's to go up and across.
yeah. And this salary schedule is based on 180 days for our teachers, where if you click on the middle school one, that's based on 184 days. Our middle school teachers work 4 more days than our elementary ones. So we still took those minimums. Like if you click on the yellow boxes, you'll see I took the minimums from the elementary schedule. I divided it by 180 days, and then I multiplied it by 184. So it's comparable to what you were seeing on the other schedule. The daily rate is still the same for those levels.
The elementary school, the first kindergarten through 5th grade is 180 days.
Yes.
I thought last year we were all up in the arms about 180 days. Isn't that what the state
Oh,
wanted?
that's not student days, that's teacher contract days.
Ah,
Yeah.
I got you. Thank you.
And because our middle school students have to attend 4 extra days in order to get their state required instructional hours, then the number of contract days for those staff members also
Which
increases
has
by 4
been
days.
that way for years, right? Okay.
All right, and then if you go one more salary schedule to the EA schedule. So what we did with our EA schedule is we did a 4% increase. So that the salary schedule also reflects the 4%. And so that way, not just returning EAs receive that additional 4%, but bringing in new EAs to the school, there would also be that 4% for them.
Mm-hmm.
How does this compare to APS?
They actually pay them quite a bit less.
Okay.
And
I was gonna say we're high on EAs compared to APS.
I mean, I want to say, I think they're at the minimum $15 is what we were almost looking at when we were comparing. So we're doing quite well, and I feel like we've retained our EAs pretty well too.
Good.
Yeah. All right, and then the substitute schedule did not change. All right, so all of those salary schedules then comes back to tab 3, which is the salary tab. This is a breakdown. On the left-hand side are teacher salaries. So if you want to scroll to the very top there we go. So you can see current salary, their new salary in blue, which is column C, the percent increase. And then the FTE is the full-time equivalency, so that's looking at them being basically a full-time employee, and then how many days their contract is. So we do have a few people who are anticipating moving up a level, so that's why you see a higher percentage increase.
Like
for them.
18% there, that's someone going from level 2 to level 3.
Mhm.
And we
So there's names associated with all of those that are blocked.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
That's time at level, when we go to 2 to 3, you have 5 years, are you 5 years at that level, or?
You
just
do.
start-
You do. We don't like restart the years for those levels.
Of course, with the range, it probably doesn't matter.
you get an extra dollar or two.
Oh, that's true.
For line 18, Veronica, can you highlight that? Do you see how like there's nothing in column B for that person? It's because that's someone who might not be returning from this current year. So I didn't take a current salary, I took a mid-range salary for the next fiscal year, and that's why you don't see a percent change either for it. So those kinds of situations, it wasn't I forgot it, it's just someone who's not returning.
But you plan to.
Are we,
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Is the head count plan the same as the current end of the year plan, or are you gonna get into that
The head count for students,
for teachers?
for teachers, so this is based on
Like
what, it's based on what we have right now.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna ask. Based on what we have right now, not anticipating any changes to our current staffing levels, but not adding back ones that we've lost over the year and didn't replace. Is that correct?
Right, yeah, so it's based on the current position. So for example, we have a vacant K1 position that we currently have staffed with a long-term substitute. And so looking at putting a teacher in that, back in that position.
Understood.
And then, go ahead, Erin.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry.
I think it was
The
Monty.
The EAs are still 1-to-1 for all of like kindergarten to fifth grade?
It's based on what we have right now, which is one EA in every elementary classroom, K through 5, and one for every 2 classrooms at middle school. I do anticipate that after registration, just based on our lottery numbers and people who've committed through the lottery, I do anticipate that we'll be able to move from 4 K1 classes to 5 and be actually full kindergartners again, which will be nice. We're anticipating 50 kindergartners. And so if they all show up for registration, that's awesome because that'll be huge. And so that would be a teacher position that's not reflected in this budget, and also an EA position that's not reflected in this budget, but then that would also be an adjustment at 40 days, so it works itself out.
And like we said, we were kind of looking at that, what does 24 kids mean in a dollar amount? It's about 212,000, so it would help us to help those positions. Yeah.
No, and I think that that's a sound plan. Let's see what numbers we actually get, because, you know, we can only estimate on what we know. And I think you've estimated the right amount of kids in the chair and see what happens. So, Laura, I'm not trying. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was, I'm not trying to be the gloom and doom naysayer of the world right now, but if for some reason the 180 doesn't show up in our pocketbook, I know you showed me the math, but in practicality, what does that mean for positions? Does it mean we can pay for them still with our carryover, how we're getting to our dollars, or does it mean we're going to have to consider something mid-year if that doesn't happen?
Mariposa, do you see where it says fund balance at the bottom there?
Yep.
If we take up 180,000, 2.1 million will be our fund balance overall. So we do have carryover that we can use towards the contracted services tab. And we have enough SEG to cover salaries if we need to.
So
Okay,
the 2.1
Mhm.
Or the 2.3, whichever way we do it, is your forecasted carryover at the end of next year,
It
right?
is,
Okay,
which is not, I mean, there is a difference, but it's
Not
not
much.
significantly different than
No.
what we're going into the year with.
Right.
Yes.
Again,
Now,
they were
I
trying to
did,
show you not to get too much.
Mhm.
I know
And
we're
we
gonna
were
talk,
also really thinking about wanting to keep all of the people who are currently here and want to be here.
yes,
Our goal.
agreed.
And doesn't APS or PED expect to see some expected carryover in the budget every year?
They do expect to see.
Not 2.3 million maybe,
Right,
but something, how much do
2
they
months
expect?
worth of expenses.
How much a
2
month?
months.
Worth of expenses.
Which would be what in our case?
That's a great question. I have not run that one yet,
Okay,
but I can look into that.
something less than 2 million.
Right.
That's probably all that
By
matters.
far.
So on the contracted services, I understand we're putting the ones back in and then we're gonna try to use SB9 for some of them. But again, I mean, on the net surplus and the fund balance, that's showing with our federal money. Without the federal money, we're still, okay, is what I'm understanding based on the numbers here.
Yep,
Yes.
Okay.
I think Laura and I calculated it's 115,000 that we anticipate having to use carryover for, as opposed to 400 and something thousand like we did last year. So we just didn't want to
Okay.
rely on it as heavily, so, but there would still be a need to rely on it some.
And I'm
But
sorry
then
to,
we also were calculating out with the, if we have an increase at 40-day like we anticipate having, the cost of the teacher and EA still leaves extra that would adjust over here.
Why do we anticipate an increase at 40-day?
I anticipate an increase now, but we won't see the dollar amount till after 40-day.
Got it. That's when we'll get that bump.
Exactly.
The student count.
Right.
so putting, I want to understand a little better the top on the revenues. I mean, you can put your 180 back in there to make your numbers work, right? But do we have any concerns about this carryover from prior year number and having that or something close to that amount in carryover?
Yes, of course. Yes, I think right now the conversation at and I don't know if it's gonna come to fruition, but we have heard that based on whatever New Mexico decides to do in terms of accepting federal funding would impact, could impact Medicaid mostly, which is a huge piece in New Mexico. And then if New Mexico refuses federal funding and has to figure out how to pay for Medicaid, there's a chance they could look at sweeping cash balances.
Out of what funds? Out of our Medicaid fund from the past that we can carry
No,
over?
out of our operational.
Okay.
But there's no indication of how much, or if it will for sure happen, or when. I mean, so right now it's talk, but it's something that we need to be thinking about.
And in previous years, we put that kind of disclaimer out there at the end of our fiscal year that says, hey, we have it earmarked for stuff, that's not gonna save us this year.
I don't think so. I think we actually need to really think about encumbering the money, not just having a plan for it.
Okay.
And so that is part of what I'm working on with the foundation, to come up with a plan to really think about the funds. And then that's something that we can put on the agenda for next month to really talk through.
Can in terms of talking, I mean, I always get confused, and apologies, I should know it better by now, but which fund balances we can carry over, which ones we can encumber to carry over. And my understanding was always the encumbered were capital improvement type things. or deferred maintenance. So how does that help us get salaries covered? If we,
It wouldn't help with salaries. It could possibly help with contract services.
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
That's the clarification I needed.
Right, because remember, we can't use carryover to pay for salaries.
Right.
Can we use carryover to encumber contracted services into the future?
I think it depends on what kind of contracted service.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like, I don't think I can encumber all of our utilities starting June 30th into the new year.
Just thought, because it's happened before. We've seen them sweep.
Yes, they won't.
Been a while.
So then, okay, supplies, benefits, contracted services, utilities. I'm just trying to see if the $2 million that we're saying we're going to carry over, the buckets that we can use them for don't seem to total that amount. Is that going to be a problem?
I don't quite follow. Did you follow that, Laura?
Are you pretty much asking, like, if they take our carryover, how are we gonna afford this?
Kinda, yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at contracted services and it's only $465,000 and we got 2 million up there. So that's what I'm struggling with is we're giving ourselves revenue of 2.4 million carryover, but we're only gonna spend these three lines, 45, 465, and 100,000, right? Because we can't use it for salary.
So what we anticipate getting is this 5.8 million, right, almost 5.9 million.
Mhm.
And our total expenses for the year is this
Okay.
So we're close, but as you can see, when we start to add in, contracted services, or if we were to, take that out, it's all very close of what we expect in SEG versus what our total expenses are. Does that help?
Got it. Yep, got it. That's where I was getting myself stuck, Veronica. You know my brain very well. Because
Okay.
that's where I was getting stuck was the 5 million wasn't computing with me with the 5 million down here. I was looking at the 8 million. So that was where I was getting stuck. So we are borderline problematic if carryover went to 0.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me ask this. If we do get 400 instead of 376, how much does our expenses increase as well? Does that end up putting us in the black?
I don't anticipate the expenses increasing by much by that number of students, not enough where it would have an impact here.
And as you were saying, the wash
Thank you.
between a teacher and an EA and the number of students, we would still see a positive as those two things balance each other out.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Then I feel better. I mean, I don't feel great, but I feel better.
That's
There's a lot of things.
Now, I'm going to ask the charter renewal question. If we go to the state, do we have to pay a 2% admin fee?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I just thought maybe there was another possible pro, but not at all. Okay.
I wish.
So the plan is if you hear more about them potentially sweeping the carryover to try to encumber that money as soon as reasonable.
Yes.
What land were you all looking at for?
That's one of the conversations. Yeah, it's one of the things that we talked about through foundation. Like, we could look at purchasing land. There's a lot of projects. So for example, and we can get into all the details now or next month.
Yeah, let's do that one next month because it's technically not on our agenda. And while it's somewhat related to budget, I think that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I don't want to get in trouble for that. I'm not trying to not answer the question.
So are we ready to approve this?
If nobody else has any questions, I think we are. Thank you, Laura and Miss Christie and Anna and Danielle for all the hard work. I know they don't give you any time to get this done, and we appreciate how hard you guys work to get us to at least be status quo this year with everything going on. So thank you.
Less than a day to get it to where it needs to be, so thank you.
They're still standing.
They're still standing around.
All right. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve Alice King's FY26 budget as presented with the salary schedules.
So move, this is Veronica.
Second, Dave.
Second, Dave. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 And any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries. Christy, we could do that the way I just did it, combining the budget and the salary schedules into one motion, right?
I mean, it's on here as two separate, items, so do we need to
Well,
approve
no.
them at a time?
No, we don't have, from the agenda, we don't have to do two separate approvals. I'm just making sure that since we identified them as two separate approvals, as two items of business, that you didn't need them to be separated out for some reason in the minutes.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
very good. Okay, well, discussion of council self-evaluation, I kind of did that in the comments, so we can revisit that for a moment, but I will get with the committee and we will get our pieces distributed and start moving that forward for May and June.
Okay.
And we don't need to do anything else. We can't do any further action other than the first reading, right, Christy, on the policy we just did?
On the policy we just did, but new business D is different.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. So I guess we're at new business D. Please tell us what we need to know.
Okay, so the state of New Mexico has a set of special education policies and procedures that have been around for many, many, many years. We have had them in place here at Alice King since 2007. And I have a version from 2007, 2010, 2013. But when Carrie and I were preparing for our special education site visit, we saw that there was another revision that came out in June of 2014. We have been operating with those because that's what's current and it matches law and all of that. What I didn't know is in digging through all of this, part of what we have to do is show in our minutes that they've been approved by the board. And that is what I couldn't ever find. I dug back in years and years worth of agendas and minutes to try to find anything where it had ever been approved. And I couldn't find anything. I think what happened, I do see in the Dropbox under our bylaws and policies for the governing council that there is a folder for these special education policies and procedures dated from 2013. And digging into the history of these revisions, it looks like that particular one was like a memo was sent out from PED about here they are, but then this June 2014 memo was like, wait, don't use that, use this instead. That was during a time when there was a changeover of head administrator here at Alice King, and I think it must have gotten lost in the transition. So I don't know that it's ever been approved by the governing council that I can see. I mean, it's an extensive document, and I think that the easiest way to probably show you, for you to kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about is, Veronica, I'm going to send you a link to the NMPED website where they have these listed. I think that would be the simplest way because it consists of 8 chapters. And each chapter is like 30 to 50 pages long. So that's not something that we want to sit and do a first reading on and a second reading on. The way the state has set this up is, sorry, the way the state has set this up is it's basically like plug your name in where we tell you to plug your name in and you adopt these things because this is what the law says, okay? So let me find them. They just changed the entire,
So go to the laws, rules, and guidance.
well, it's not there anymore because they changed the whole website this weekend.
I'm looking at it.
Okay,
So laws, rules, and guidance.
under
And then-
where? Special education?
Yeah, New Mexico PED, policies and procedures. That's where it'll pop up.
If you have the link, you can go ahead and send it to Veronica.
I'm a little thing this one. Here we go.
So I had it ready to go and then I lost it.
Yeah. It's so quick. Well, and when I got
I found it.
Oh, do you have it?
Yeah. Okay, Veronica, I just sent it to you.
How weird, from Friday to.
Well, I was working on this on Friday and then went back in on Saturday and the whole website had changed. So then I thought I was going crazy and I'm like, where did it all go?
Literally, and it's like 8 o'clock on Friday.
Okay, so go ahead and scroll down and go to policies and procedures at that first, oh, go back up. It's the very top one, policies and procedures. And now you can see, so the memo, it says policies and procedures memo, June 2014. That's the memo that I'm referring to where it said, wait, don't use that one, use this one instead. And then gives the directions on plugging in your name. So if you'll just open up chapter 1.
Well, I want to see the memo first, Christy. Hang on.
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, is there anything after the bold black sentence?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
3 pages.
So we've been getting IDEA awards though, right? So
Mhm.
even though allegedly we haven't done that.
Well, and that's, I don't know. I mean, I just can't, if it was done, there is not a copy of it here at the school. I've looked on the server, I've looked throughout everything that's archived in my office. I've looked on our Google Drive. I've looked through all of previous administration's flash drives to try to find it. And I can't, it doesn't seem to exist here at the school. So it's unclear whether or not it was done and submitted to the state or not. But we've been receiving the money, so I think we could go on, maybe it was submitted.
So I'm gonna, well, okay, we don't have any proof that we did do it or didn't do it. Doing it now feels a bit strange to me because of it is the law. And is this something that someone has pointed out to us that we don't have, that we need? Or is this like, I mean, I want to correct it if we feel like we need to correct it, and I'm not trying to do anything sneaky, but are we gonna cause ourselves a bigger problem by adopting a 2014 thing 11 years later today, or wait until the next one comes, or what do we need to do? I mean, I just want to understand better the lay of the land of why we need to do this outside of, I mean, I recognize the first and second reading problems logistically, but is there a reason we need to hurry up?
Yes, this also came out as in preparation for our special education site visit in terms of the protocol that they have provided to us. And part of what AKCS is looking for is that we have approved these and that we have the board minutes to show they've been approved, and we have to upload them to our website so that they're available to the public.
But by approving them now, are you going to get pinged more by approving them now than not having them and saying we comply with the law?
I'll let Carrie answer that.
So during our training, with all other special ed coordinators and directors, they have told other charters, because it sounds like it's a lot of charters. And they were just stating, you had this school year or whatever to just get these approved by your governing council, or just to get them on your website and those minutes. So.
Question, is this person, back in this memo from 11 years ago, this Gloria person, it's like, if you have any questions, is this person still around? Is there anybody in this area that is still around that like we would know or we'd be able to reach out to? It's like, hey, by the way, what did we send you?
Well,
and we have a copy.
Yeah, oh, I see, like, hey, do you have this on file for us
Do we have
somewhere?
any relationship, or is there somebody that we could reach out to ask for?
That's a great question, Veronica.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the Special Education Bureau still exists, so we could reach out to the Special Education Bureau to find out.
I mean, I don't
That'd
have
be a
any.
good starting point.
The fact that they're still on the website indicates that these are still the operative policies,
Yep.
correct?
That's right. They are still the current policy, special education policies and procedures, yes.
And they're just telling us to take what they have on their law and put it in our own policy, right?
If we do take the action, but can we say something like, we are recertifying that we are still
That, I
using?
wonder if
That's
that's
exactly.
We've been in place here since 2007. So it's not like a brand new adoption, in my opinion. I feel like it's more of a certification that this has been in place.
We reviewed it.
I like that approach.
Yeah.
So, Christy, if you want us to look at chapter 1 just to see what it looks like, that's fine. But I know we've been complying with the special ed laws and the requirements. So
yes, we have. Yes, and if you go into the Dropbox under our bylaws and policies, you'll see a whole folder with the 2013 version of this.
yeah,
we've been doing it. So it's not like, oh my gosh, there's this brand new thing out that we had no idea about. No, that's not the case at all. We've been following them. We're compliant with special education. We just need to make sure that just not knowing if there is record of it being approved previously or in the way in which they want it approved and documented through the minutes. I think, that's kind of where we're stuck for our site visit.
Well, and something that, as since this topic has come up, we have reviewed and we recertify that we have been used. I mean, Aaron and Mariposa will come up with something,
yeah, that we've been complying with, and that the 2014 policies and procedures provided by the New Mexico Public Education Department have been in effect and will continue to be in effect at Alice King Community School.
And rather than doing a first or second reading of 400 pages, maybe we can have you tell us we've taken exactly what was in the state's law and put it in our policies and procedures.
Well, we're going to take Dave, we're doing even better than that. PED already drafted them. We just have to drop Alice King's name into them. So we're gonna take them wholesale as PED has presented them.
And they've already done
I
it.
thought that's what I said, but okay.
I heard you say something else, sorry.
Well, I thought we needed to actually have it in our own policies and procedures somewhere where we could see it. Or didn't it say you had to go on our website or something?
We have to post
Yeah.
them on the special education portion of our website.
Yeah, we don't want to bring it into our policy manual. It would swallow our policy manual. I like to keep that document workable. This is just a policy on the side that we are required to adopt.
So we're gonna certify that Alice King Community School had previously adopted the PED policies as presented by PED for special education and has continued to comply with and recertifies the use of the standalone New Mexico Public Education Department policies and procedures for the provision of special education services as set forth on their website and modified for Alice King Community School, I think is what we're doing, right, guys?
That was perfect. Did you get that, Dom?
I did not get that.
Well, it's on the recording, so that's my motion.
Yeah, I'll get it off the recording.
At 7:09.
Okay.
Do we have a
so
second?
This is the first section,
Second.
which is the first chapter, which is all on child fines. Sorry, was he talking?
They just made a motion and somebody
Yeah,
said.
we have a motion, Christy, we have a motion and a second.
Awesome.
Aaron seconded.
Yeah, can I just really quick, I just want to make sure I put this out there so that you all are aware of what you're doing. Go back to chapter 1, Veronica, and just scroll down. Keep going past the table of contents. All right, so stop right here. So you can see how there's sections in red where it says district. We just replaced district with Alice King Community School.
Mhm.
That's all we do
Yes.
throughout this entire document.
Yes, and my motion said that.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I just wanted to make sure everybody had a visual.
Okay, any further discussion on the pending motion?
Is that gonna make
Comments,
you happy?
questions?
It'll make me really happy to not get dinged on our site visit.
Okay, well, that's what the objective was.
Everybody.
All right, seeing no further discussion, all in favor of approval of these policies being utilized by our school and as we have been? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
No opposition.
Yeah, okay. Motion carries. I'll help you fix the minutes if we need to.
We got the recording.
All right. And we don't have any closed session this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So we accomplished a lot of business in a very short amount of time.
Sweet.
Any further discussion or can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
You can entertain that motion.
I think Aaron made the motion. If someone in the room said something, we'll second. That'll be the second.
Second.
Dave.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time.
Well, don't hang up. We just need to let you know, I need everybody to sign off for the budget approval. So we're gonna have everybody who's here do it now before you leave. People who are online, Laura is gonna send you a PDF version, it's an Adobe sign for you to do it. And just make sure that you don't ignore that you really are paying attention to it because we have to upload this with our budget submission.
Okay. Fabian hung up faster than we could catch him when you said, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I don't know if maybe
We'll get him.
I don't have Fabian's phone number. Someone could call him or just text him to be on the lookout.
He's like super responsive.
Yeah, we'll get him. We're not worried about him. He reads
Okay.
it.
All righty. any